All right, everyone. Ink here doing voiceover of my run for Entropy Tier 12. Ooh boy, this one is for sure tough without... so I wanted to save Arciela, to be specific. So it was... I stomped this with Arciela, Vanille, and Aerith, and I decided, okay, I am going to run... I wanted to not double up on Dispellers. I didn't want to double up on healers either. And so, yeah, Celes is here because they have so many magic attacks, and she is a magic tank. So she certainly makes this considerably easier and safer. The problem is that her damage is, she's not a high damage tank. She does have decent damage, especially when the enemies are batterying her. Totally respectable damage on her skills, 60k, with a ton of refund as well. Alphinaud is here for damage, and you could see I just Brave Plussed with him because A was doing an all attack. He pairs so nicely with Celes because Celes can take the attention off of him so that he doesn't get broken. Although I will oh man, it was so stressful. It was really stressful constantly paying attention to whether Alphinaud was being targeted or not. That was constantly tricky. And just making sure that he was okay. I never wanted to get broken with him and lose his carbuncle. So Celes removes a lot of that attention. And what's great is that Vanille, not only is she dispelling, and also she is an amazing dispeller. She is a better dispeller than Arciela is, because Arciela's only got, 7 potential uses of dispel, whereas Vanille has her 6 uses that remove everything, but she also can dispel two buffs from the enemies on her EX trap going off, which... Between her EX trap and Alphinaud's 2 poisons and Celes tanking, it really does remove a lot of the risk that's involved with this fight. I did bring Ifrit because I thought that the team would want more attack. Alphinaud has pretty, without his character boards, he doesn't have his character board yet. He should get it in a week after the next Squex maintenance, is my expectation. Without his boards, he's got pretty low potency on his hits. Celes, not a damage dealer. Vanille, batteries based off of her attack. So I brought Ifrit, which is a tricky thing to do because the only healer on this team is Alphinaud, and he's not a very good one. He heals, I think it's 10% HP on energy drain, and you're usually not spamming energy drain. You're usually spamming his HP plus and using energy drain for free. So that was certainly interesting. You can see I wasn't afraid to use Moonstone and use White Carbuncle sometimes if I needed to. It really wasn't a problem. The main theme of this is making sure Celes and Vanille have last stand. So as long as the enemy is targeting Celes or Vanille and they're above 50% HP, I don't care. I'm just gonna let them do whatever they want. I don't need to feel obligated to shave them. The general strategy is to kill the knight first because he enrages. He gets real mad if you kill the horse first, but the horse doesn't care if the knight gets killed. So it's better to take down the knight first. I also found that with Celes, because unlike characters like Zac and Snow and Galuf and Bosch, she only applies her lock on enemies single target. You saw earlier on 2 turns ago I used Celes's C65 to lock both of them on her. That's how she gets around it, but she only has 2 uses, and so it can certainly be tricky. So like right here, for example, I used HP plus with Alphinaud. the horse is about to do an all attack, so I have to battery Alphinaud here, which isn't a tall order, but it does mean that I'm dumping my Brave with Vanille. So I'm basically trading a break on Alphinaud for a break on Vanille here, which I'm okay with. So dropping D-Protect was fine. You really want D-Protect on at the once they hit like maybe 50% HP. You want to try and keep it on as much as possible. You could see this was a little risky, but honestly, Vanille's attack down lowers the amount of damage the horse is dealing, so we just need to get everyone healed back up here, which is not too much of a problem. But yeah, I certainly wanted to make sure in both of these waves that I take down one enemy as fast as possible, because I really, really didn't want to have to manage Celes's runic uses. I do hope in the future she can runic AoE. Here you could see I passed up using my EX with Celes so that I could runic and keep my stacks, because I didn't want her to stop absorbing their Brave. If Rune Knight drops off and her Brave Magic Absorb drops off, it's fine. I don't mind. No biggie. But I do like to try and keep it on as much as possible. You can see A is actually targeting Celes here. Sorry, Vanille. And so I don't mind. It doesn't matter. And that's why I'm not runicking here or using a C65. I'm still going after the Knight into a pretty nice launch as well. Just because if Vanille takes a break, if she gets hit, I'm probably going to Brave Plus here though, yeah. If she were to take a big hit, it doesn't matter. She's above 50%, so I can just sort of ignore whatever the boss is doing, knowing that they're targeting Vanille or Celes, and just know that, yep, it'll be fine. B is actually, the Knight is now targeting Vanille, and the horse is targeting Alphinaud. So got to be really careful here. Obviously, the priority is going to be to protect Alphinaud because Vanille has her last stand, like I've been mentioning. It really is easy. Like I ran this instead of Alphinaud, I did try Aerith, and the team just didn't have enough AoE damage and not enough damage per turn total to get through it. I assume with one more summon board they would be enough, but I kept falling short. And that team had all last stand, so it was the most comfortable run. So if you're having trouble with this, and you somehow have Vanille, Celes, and Aerith, and maybe your gameplay, you don't want to think as much, and you just want to stomp the stage for a clear, then you could try them. But yeah, otherwise, you want to go with Arciela, I think, is generally the safest option. So yeah, you can see the Knight here. He's got 31k Brave, and is targeting Vanille, and it's fine. I'm going to end up shaving him with EX into HP plus, but if I didn't, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It's fine. Yeah, there's so much anxiety that you get from running this stage because of all the AoE damage and the potential moves of the boss. Like here, we're probably getting stomped, yeah. Which is why if you don't have a tank and you get broken by that move, by dark into stomp, you're probably dead, which is a huge problem. HP damage mitigation would be great for this if you have Exdeath, if you have Porom, if you have Edge. Obviously the best of them is Arciela because she also dispels. But you could see that barely did any damage, or did very little damage, and that's because the Knight still has Vanille's attack down debuff. The defense down got pushed off when the Knight buffed him, or just from Alphinaud poisoning. But yeah, the Vanille makes this a lot more comfortable. I do think with a big damage dealer, I almost feel like Vanille could be better than Arciela in certain team comps. But yeah, Alphinaud just he needs to keep energy draining to keep the health of the party up. Sort of like a constant struggle with this team. But honestly, I love this team because I did not want to double up as much as possible. I did not want to double up on healers for this if possible. I didn't want to use two powerful aura supports like Arciela and Alphinaud. Like, they're both so valuable. They're very valuable characters. They're both very strong. And so, yeah, I love this team just because Alphinaud provides the aura and healing. Celes sort of takes the risk off of Alphinaud's low healing. Vanille lowers the amount of damage that the team needs. So the three of them work so well together in sort of neutering the enemy. Celes protects Alphinaud. Vanille has an aura to complement Alphinaud. Celes has a max brave aura and a speed aura, which is actually, that speed aura is why you can see that my rotation, quote unquote rotation with Alphinaud, is always one turn off. I had to keep using a skill when he was running with Celes because of the speed up that she provides. So here, there's no danger of the knight because Vanille has her EX up. So we'll clean the knight up here with her EX. It is really helpful keeping track of when their EX is charged and where they're going to be at. You do have to pay some attention. Pausing for the awesome Celes remix. Gotta love Celes. I'm jamming my head as this goes, but yeah, the horse just cleansed itself of debuffs, assassination doing work, but I want to get deprotect on it because it's basically drop its defense as much as possible. The 80% defense down is no joke at all. And you could see that we just went from having pretty low potency. She was hitting under 1,000. And now she's hitting 5,000. Obviously different moves, but still, like, in general, the team can hit a lot harder. You can see why I wanted Ifrit. Alphinaud's dealing 5k per hit on his energy drain, and I want that to be as high as possible. So Ifrit was good. Also, generally, the team would stay healthy for the most part, with Celes protecting the team. This is really just a question of whether I want to use a skill here or not, and I don't think it's worth using a Deprotect or a Dispel. I want to save those for when they're needed. Vanille's two skills are sort of like panic buttons in a way. Deprotect is to make sure your damage doesn't fall off, and Dispel removes their buffs. So if they don't have any buffs, and they already have the Deprotect debuffs on, I really didn't want to use it unless I needed a big battery. So horse is going into all mode, which means that I am going to have to protect Alphinaud here. And so Brave Plus is the safest, but I could use an HP Plus if I was guaranteed gonna battery with Vanille, but I was planning to Brave Plus, and since she doesn't Brave Plus on her, or she doesn't battery on her Brave Plus, yeah, I didn't wanna risk it. Yeah, but you can just see she completely, Vanille's 50% attack down, just totally, look at Celes, like dealing max damage in red bar, and it's because of Alphinaud's auras, Vanille's aura, and her Deprotect. It's just sort of, it's very nice to see a character that got her EX Plus in, January? And she's still capable of jamming out here. Honestly, both these characters got their EX Plus in the same month, I believe. So Celes and Vanille, I absolutely treasure both of them on my roster. I think they're amazing characters. I've used them in plenty of Sabin Saga runs, honestly, but they are complemented so nicely with Alphinaud. It's really beautiful. Yeah. We are just about done with these horses, or this horse. Thankfully, there aren't two Vayne horses and an Agrius Knight. That would be That would be a little ridiculous, but I was considering what I should do there. Yeah, this is totally fine. The stomp is not nice from the horse, but yeah, I'm not going to use any skills at this point. Let's just get through this. Yeah, everyone's at reasonable health here going into the last wave. No reset needed. Thankfully, things were well managed in this. So with these guys, they open up with all attacks. Again, going into Alphinaud's risks. You don't want him to get broken, and these guys are doing all attacks. So right now, I actually don't care if he gets broken because his carbuncle buff ran out. So I will need to... we're going into Vanille's music now. Not from the middle, though. So good timing for when she uses her EX. These guys use this all attack. It's just a brave attack, but they can get a lot of brave from it if they break all your party. Again, you're seeing the utility that Vanille's attack down has, just sort of neutering their brave damage completely. Celes doesn't battery very much, so here is another brave plus I would expect from Alphinaud. Yep. You have to brave plus no matter what if he's getting targeted. A is on him as well. But yeah, this is why I used C65. Admittedly, I really should have used Runic on A. But I think I was a little held up on using my EX to keep my damage high this wave. That I did that. She just lost her Rune Knight buff. And so you'll actually see there's no worry of Celes not having her buff up. She took a little bit of brave damage there, but didn't get broken. She's still got 33k brave. She's totally good and safe. So that works. This is probably an HP plus, yeah. Pretty straightforward. Celes can take care of herself, which is delightful. Alphinaud is going to town on damage. Dealing 90k with his HP plus is busted. We talked about him on the podcast, TCC podcast. I'll link that in the description here. But I cited a lot of Alphinaud's weaknesses because he was so hyped. But if you work around those weaknesses, and also once he gets his character board, right, he'll be a monster. So the B has buffed himself. They are nasty defense debuffs. A is about to buff himself, which again this taxes Vanille a little bit because I just used her EX earlier. So I do prefer to chunk through this rather than have Celes basically go to nothing or to 1 HP. You can see he's got attack down but no defense down right now. So here at least I use Dispel to get rid of B's buffs, and then Vanille's EX will take care of A's buffs. So it works out quite nicely actually. And I would say the summon for this wave is more like a panic button because after they buff, and I should have mentioned this on B, so A at this moment, he is doing an HP attack no matter what. So if you have Arciela, if you're using Kefka on this in the future, he should be out in a week. Kefka is amazing for this stage as well. He will completely shut down their HP attacks, and you can lock them there with Arciela or Kefka. They will not be able to take an action as long as they have the HP attack disable. It's just it's something to keep in mind how basically Celes is going to get hit here, and as long as she's above 50% HP, it is totally okay. These guys don't have any other attacks that deal HP damage, but whenever you see that sort of aura, the stars colliding on the enemy, like they are on A right now, You can see there's like little lines going into him. He's charged, or charging, I guess. That is when you do not want to mess around. It can get very hairy very, very quickly. So, yeah. Gotta love this music. There are those melee attacks from these bosses, and again, doesn't really matter. Celes always has so much Brave that who cares? Her refund, and I gave her her own sphere, which also helps her a lot, so that works too. But you can see I just got rid of all their buffs just using Vanille's EX on A rather than anything else. Celes's damage on this is ridiculous. I was not expecting her to deal as much damage as she was, but I mean, hey, what does this team have? 135% aura with Ifrit's 165. 165% attack is no joke. I did summon here because I want to burn down B. Basically, it would be awkward. I would end up wasting a Dispel here, and so I wanted to perfectly time when Alphinaud would have his EX so that we can get a lot of damage here inside of summon. And oh boy, juicy launch. I did use his C65 to reset the launch, give the team Brave regen so that I could set up for a harder hitting launch right there, which was pretty cool. I do like potentially resetting a launch so that you can better set it up when you can with an AA. It's quite nice. His regen is doing great work here, so it's not something to skimp on. But yeah, while you're in summon, I decided normally you would energy drain there. I decided to still use my HP plus because I have so many skills left with Alphinaud that if I have to spam his Moonstone a little bit to get his EX back, that's fine. But again, I am focusing one of them down. A lot of people took both down at the same time. If you have a lot of AoE based units that deal a ton of AoE damage, then great. On this team, Vanille benefits from the Brave hits being AoE, but she has to manage the multiple Dispel targets. Alphinaud is very AoE, but then you have to manage multiple enemies potentially targeting him. And Celes only locks one target at a time, so it made a lot more sense to take one out. And you can see I'm ignoring B now because, well, one, I've got my EX and B's almost dead. And yeah, Alphinaud, again, he has great splash damage. So I'm just going to kill B with splash here. And the biggest concern, you can see he had 4 buffs. Vanille got rid of 2 of them, her trap. Those 4 buffs are disgusting. The 2 that don't come off are, I believe, Brave Damage Resist and Evade, so that they can dodge your attacks and lower their Brave damage. There's the 4. So we need to get rid of that. And I'm locking onto Celes here to make sure that she takes the fatal blow. Because Vanille is going, she is right before the boss. And so she has to Dispel here. And yeah, there's no time to shave. This is where having a tank or having someone with last stand is so helpful. She just took 74k and survived. And then on top of it, immediately started to heal back up. Girl doesn't sweat a thing. Yeah, it is. I loved how balanced this team was. If you're running, there are a lot of other popular units for sure. Beatrix is also good. She was one I didn't mention for HP damage mitigation. But the reason I wanted to do this team, I was just checking my turn count there. The reason I wanted to do this team was just because it had such beautiful roll coverage. I didn't double up on healer. I didn't double up on my auras necessarily. You don't bring Vanille for her auras. You bring her for her Dispel and her debuffs. So using one healer, one aura, they're both Alphinaud, but that's fine. and a tank. And Vanille and Celes are so old. So in terms of when they got their EX plus, so I was really happy to use them so high in the tower. With a great character like Alphinaud. So yeah, this is all going well. We do want to get Celes above 50%. So there we go. Alphinaud break into heal with Celes's regen got her back to a respectable level. Just want to keep her as protected as possible. And you can see there's no Brave plus HP attacks unless they charge themselves. So that's the biggest risk right here, right? So he's about to charge himself with all 4 buffs. I do have a choice here between... I think HP plus is wrong. So I did Dispel. I still have 1 Dispel left, which is going to be important because her EX debuff only removed those 2. And that is 83k on an all attack. And he has the stars going into him, which means that this all attack is going to be a fat HP attack. A big one. And Celes can shave some of it. She shaved 80 plus K down to 53k, which is, I mean, sure, that's fine. But again, Vanille can't, she's going right before the boss, so she can dispel the buffs, but that is about it. She won't be able to shave that, not even close, with her dispel. So this is what I'm thinking of right now is the game plan. Also, I didn't necessarily think that these guys would HP attack. I wasn't paying attention to the stars. You can see I actually go and I look for where there's a group attack, and I missed the one toward the bottom, I think, which is Banishing Arms. I did not see it. And so I thought that this would just be an all attack. Alphinaud doesn't have his carbuncle, so I don't have to worry about him getting broken. But yeah, the draw of this is moving Vanille up is actually quite nice. Just because she's gonna get broken by this, and so Celes will catch her. So that was no brave damage, but oh boy, massive HP attack, which for sure hurt. So you can see now all of a sudden no Vanille debuffs, and the team is debuffed, and the damage just sort of plummets a little bit. Celes is dealing 7,500, but Alphinaud needs to heal. I still need to heal 3k, and the Weapon Keeper is nearly dead. I used C65 to get those debuffs off. No one has HP regen except Celes, so I do have to brave attack just a bit and let her HP regen take. The problem is that she doesn't have her HP regen buff because it got pushed off, so she only has it on her framed buff. So I still haven't gotten through what I needed to, and there's an all attack coming. So definitely a little tricky. I went with energy drain, no carbuncle, just to get any healing, and yeah, there it is. I got under the HP requirement. Turn count was good. All that mattered was making sure that we got score. My first clear with this again was Arciela, Vanille, and Aerith, and hey, beat my score. That is the power of Alphinaud. He was amazing in this with his damage, and Celes protected him so well. It was rather great. So I do hope everyone enjoyed the run. I was really pleased with it. I'm gonna go into my arts real fast here, very quickly. But yeah, I hope you got some value out of this, and maybe if you wanted to save Arciela for another tier, you might like this. Celes, I've got 3 108s and all Max Brave secondaries, as well as her own sphere. Vanille is beautiful. 2 108 330s and a 108 debuff attack. And then Alphinaud's got 3 Aether Flow boosts with 2 attack passives and a Eye Brave passive. So I think it worked out pretty well. But anyway, hope this team helps you. And good luck with the event. Stay safe, respect each other, and